Hey, Mark Rodriguez here. You're watching America's #1 Cure of Insomnia, a diving cutter wrestling podcast. And with me are
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
This is Wendy, also known as Jupi Chan or Ninja Jupi, and we're gonna turn it over to the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that we all love to see, who's gonna do a little dance for us, maybe, Johnny.
But anyways, guys, we're going to be starting off here with our review of Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor 2023 edition. But, we'll go over some news real quick, though. But in case you guys are wondering, we didn't do a predictions this time because it was on a Friday. And you know how these guys wait till the absolute last minute to announce the matches and all that stuff. So it's like, and there's zero way for me to, like, do the podcast, edit, and everything in time for the show Friday. And, I'm not getting, we're none of us are getting paid for this. So I can't call off work to do this. And, obviously if the viewers would be so kind to drop some tips, especially on LBRY, I mean, we would not object to that. I mean, I do realize that LBRY, now you're getting the option to give us either LBC or actual money. So if you guys are feeling kind of festive, kind of, generous to give a little tip here and there, leave the lights on in the Rodriguez household, hey, we won't say no. So anyways, guys, before we start that, all the, selfish, I don't know what you call it, pandering, asking for, e-begging, there you go. Now that we got the e-begging section out of the way, let's see what wrestling news we have. If you could keep us updated on the G1 Climax so far, Jack. I am curious about how far did Mr. Kingston go before, if he's even still wrestling now, or did he already, get defeated?
Well, we are in the actual, what's referred to as the point of no return in the G1 Climax, which is once round 4 happens and you do not have any points, you're considered systematically out of the tournament, but you're still forced to wrestle. As of right now, Eddie Kingston is still technically he is still in the tournament. Round 4 is, as far as I've gotten up to date, I have yet to start round 5 yet. I know it's aired, but let's see. Thus far, as far as Eddie Kingston is concerned, he lost already to the leader of the House of Torture branch of Bullet Club, known as Evil. So he's already lost to him. He's already lost also to, I believe, he beat Shingo Takagi in the first round. Huge shock to everyone. And then he won against recently in round 4, he beat Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull, in a hell of a match. As of right now, each block has a separate front runner or series of front runners, but only 2 people as of right now are undefeated, and that is Okada and Sonata. Both of them have yet to be defeated. But the thing that everyone is talking about in the G1 as of right now is surprisingly not so much the points, but it's actually the 6, what they're calling upfront supernovas, the new graduate young lions who are just at the forefront, and watching them, you see that, yes, these people are going to launch wrestling into the new stratosphere with Shota Umino, who some of you have already probably seen. Ren Narita, the only person to have graduated both the Japanese and LA dojos, and is also Katsuyori Shibata's golden pupil. There's Kaito Kiyomiya. He's Pro Wrestling Noah's Supernova. He's only 25, and he's already beaten their top tournament and been their top champion twice. So that's and he was also the last pupil of the Great Muta. And the 4th person who everyone's kind of keeping an eye on is Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji is basically if Roman Reigns knew how to wrestle. But his finishing move is a spear, but it's a ruthless, ungiving spear. He's about, I think it's 6'10". He's just a powerhouse. And apparently he's actually a former college linebacker, which I didn't know. And which makes a lot of sense looking at him. There's like I said, there's a lot of interesting things going on in the G1 where it comes to curses. So the concept of a curse is basically if someone has a singles belt and they're pinned or defeated during the G1, the person who pinned or defeated them gets a contendership. So the more losses, the more contenderships. And as of right now, Eddie Kingston has 2 contenderships. The first one, I remember the first one was Taichi. Taichi has, I believe, a number 1 contendership over, no, Kenta. It was Kenta. I think it was, I have to remember.
What belt did Eddie win? I remember it was
Eddie
belt,
Eddie
right?
Kingston has the Strong Openweight Championship. He is the New Japan Strong's heavyweight champion. The Strong division of New Japan is the American version, like the part that's based out of the LA dojo, and then there's the main New Japan IWGP belt. But he is a heavyweight champion, and every person who's beaten him has gotten a contendership. So so far, like I said, he has 2 contenders, and like I said, the more losses, the more contenders. It's the same principle. If you were to win the G1 Climax, let's say if you were to win the G1 Climax, and during the tournament you lost to said person, that person can lay claim to that G1 contract, which means they wouldn't even have to win the tournament. All they'd have to do is beat you and get the contract, and boom, instantly guaranteed to headline Wrestle Kingdom.
Now, was Lance Archer there too, or any other American representatives besides just Kingston?
I think it was just Kingston as of right now. Yeah, it was just Kingston. But like I said, there was a couple people that people may know, like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay's in it. Okada, as I've already said, Tetsuya Naito, Ace. There's a couple people that people may know, but it's more of a matter of like, hey, this is a great way to show off what real strong style.
Well, I'm just saying American representatives, because you imagine all these like fit dudes like for Japan, then for America, here's Eddie Kingston, and everyone's kind of like, well, you know, the gringos, they like their McDonald's over there. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, the thing of it is the entirety of the G1 is an endurance wrestling tournament, and I hate saying it, but there's a reason they call American style soft style, because they don't have that much endurance to keep going for that many rounds. Although this year they did make a huge new factor, because usually before this, up to this year, the G1 Climax has been 30-minute rounds, one fall to finish. If you get a double count out or a double knockout, it's 1 point each. But for this year, they changed it to dropping it from 30 to 20 minutes, which has made a huge factor. In fact, most of the new supernovas, the new kids, they're every time they fought each other have been draws, have been time limit draws. So that means they've each beaten each other for 20 minutes straight with no clear winner. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, they really can go. Okay. So it's an interesting thing. And then they just started the 5-star Grand Prix over in Stardom, which is the women's equivalent. And unfortunately, to a lot of people's dismay, one of the top front runners, Saya Kamitani, she was the former Wonder of Stardom champion. She held it longer than anyone. She, in the first round, had suffered a severe injury and completely dislocated her left elbow. So she's completely out of the tournament. And apparently a lot of people thought she was going to, from all accounts I could see, original plans, I believe, were for her to win the tournament or at least get to the finals. So now it's literally a free-for-all of what could happen in the 5-star Grand Prix. But those are the major things as far as in Japan that are happening. And like I said, I'm still keeping an eye on what's going to happen as far as the G1 is concerned. I heard originally they were supposed to, prior to his injury, I heard Bryan Danielson was supposed to be a part of this year's G1, but he had the injury with Okada. So that's basically what I heard through the grapevine anyway.
So any other news in the WWE side of things? I heard, now he recently told us about McMahon getting the back surgery, spine surgery. I think Bayley's currently injured. And
yes. So Bayley, I don't know the extent of her injury. I think it's like a leg injury because she has a history of leg issues. Kevin Owens was just recently injured in a live event. They didn't really say what happened, but he got injured in a live event. And then the big thing was, because it just got released, that apparently Vince McMahon had secret spinal surgery and they don't know the extent of the spinal surgery, but they said it was, quote, life-altering spinal surgery, and it took...
Oh, no, that's not what they said. Vince said it was just good shit, and that's why he went through with
it. But it was life-altering spinal surgery, and apparently the surgery took 4 hours. So I don't know the extent of it, but I also would not be shocked if the next time, if we were to see him again, he's in a wheelchair. I would not be shocked by that, honestly.
I'm sorry. I know this is so wrong. I just want to know if Stone Cold came to visit him at any point, or Mankind.
No, it would be funny though.
I'm sorry. Wheelchair too? I'm sorry. Attitude Era. I'm so.
No, you're right. I honestly, there's very few people where I'm like, I'm gonna just say the same thing we're all thinking. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Like, 'cause all the torment he's caused to so many people. Like, my roommate literally said, does this mean he's going to finally give the fucking reins to someone else? I'm like, exactly. He's going to be like a head in a jar, like, book Roman to beat half the roster. And you're like, okay, I guess so. Alexa Bliss needs 2 sets of implants. You're the boss, Vince. You're the boss. Oh, hang on. Let me do my Triple H. You're the boss, Vince. Whatever you say. That's my Triple H. There we go. And then the other big news is that it is confirmed that AEW has trademarked the term AEW Plus, which implies they're going to do some sort of streaming service, which to me is a waste of money because they've literally only been around for 3 years. So it's like there's not enough content for a streaming service.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you heard about like the what you call it, the incentive package they're doing. Only for the first 2 months before it eventually goes live. If you like pre-order your subscription, like an annual subscription to AEW Plus, you get 10% off all the female wrestlers' OnlyFans accounts.
Oh God! Don't leave out that misinformation because then people are going to start going, "I'll buy it now." Like,
oh my God. I forgot who it was. I forgot if it was either Tony Storm or someone else. I remember how they were trolling the fans that she was gonna make one, and she made a joke where it was called OnlyFlans or something. So when people were like, "Oh my gosh, she's making one," unless you actually, there's an L there, And then like in the end, she actually made one for real. So it's kind of weird. It's like you're trolling, but then you go,
no, I know who that was. That was I remember Zelina Vega did that.
Oh,
Zelina Vega was like, I'm going to have an OnlyFans and you all better subscribe. And it's like, I'm going against WWE and having an OnlyFans. Like, everyone's like, oh my God. And it's just her. It's her OnlyFans. It's literally just her in cosplay. That's all. That's all it is. I'm like, oh, because it literally says specifically non-nudity OnlyFans. I'm like, oh, y'all got tricked.
Oh, there was an article interesting the other day too about Mandy Rose, how she got the boot for that stuff, and she was saying like the hypocrisy because they're firing her for that, but in the past when she had 2 titles, they actually had a photo shoot of her completely naked with the 2 titles covering the goods, but it was still like WWE sanctioned, WWE approved. It was a official WWE photo shoot, so it's like, well, isn't that too risque? And
what's fucked up is the Mandy Rhodes thing is even worse because she didn't like have an OnlyFans. Apparently, someone had hacked into her photo and leaked a nude photo she sent to her boyfriend. So it was literally like not even like meant for the public. And then WWE found out and they go, "This is a bad image for our champion." And I'm all like, yeah, so is the top guy marrying your daughter, but it didn't seem to stop you then.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, on to cleaner things. We don't get I guess we're not even monetized, to be honest.
Yeah, we're not monetized. Fuck it.
Just that Yahoo. So YouTube doesn't give us like the sad face of doom. Let's get to the review of Death Before Dishonor and everything. And let me see here. Fair warning, I don't remember too much about it. There's always that really, really resonated with me. that I'm gonna really go into, but
I remember it.
No.
I'll remember it.
yeah. So we had 4 dark matches. We can go through them pretty quickly. And again, we didn't have any predictions, so there was no like who was right, who was wrong. We're just gonna go through them. So the first one we had for the 0 hour was a pure wrestling rules match between Josh Woods with the varsity athletes backing him up, which are Tony Nese and Ari Daivari, and Smart Mark Sterling, going up against Tracy Williams. And it was a decent match, but I think by this one I was still too busy, getting my snacks and all the stuff, getting ready for the pay-per-view. So I didn't really pay that much attention to it. You know what? I forgot. No, what happened is I was still getting off of work because, again, Friday. So I was still barely getting off of work and fiddling with the TV to get the Bleacher Report working and all that bullshit. So I did miss half of that one because of that.
I think I missed some of it too because Bleacher Report. And then I was going back and forth trying to set it up too on the TV to watch. So I missed quite a bit of stuff. So I don't even remember what match I started on.
Oh, freaking pay-per-view. It was horrible. When you watch your event, just screen it will just automatically kick you out of the website automatically. Then you gotta go back to the websites, to the app. But then when you play it, you know how when you stop a video, when you replay it again, it's going to pretty much continue to the spot where you left off?
Yeah.
No, it just still goes a few chunks back. So I have to waste time still kind of fast forwarding a little bit to get to the point where I want to, and then it sucks because then eventually it just kicks me out of the app out of no reason. And then you have to do that shit again. So throughout the entire duration of the pay-per-view, I've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, I think for some reason I only watch, if I ever get a chance to watch the pre-show, I usually just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah, it's free. 0.
The 0 hour, I'm sorry. I didn't watch it live, because I was still working. So I watched it maybe like a day or two later. Mm-hmm. So I do that on the Bleacher Report. They're not going to put the 0 hour. It's just going to be straight up.
Yeah, the bad thing about the 0 hour, I think you can only watch it that first time live. Afterwards, it's like you watch it later. You're just watching the actual event. They don't repeat the 0 hour.
Yeah, because I think I noticed that too. Because it's like, I think also sometimes when I try to watch it on Bleacher Report, which is why I stopped using Bleacher Report. Yahar. Anyway. Anyway, when I watch it, I usually just watch the YouTube of the pre-show if I get time, because I usually just have that booted up, and then I just have it on the thing, and then I just disable the comments of people going, "Oh my God, look at his shoes, aren't they shiny?" I'm like, fuck off. Anyway, and I just watch it on my TV because I usually just have it hooked up to my laptop and just pop it on my TV. It was an okay match. I think most of the pre-show, except for like the last match of the pre-show, all of it was just kind of like there. They were like, "Get out there, okay."
Come on, let's go. We need something. We need to get people excited. Like I said,
the only match that was like, was like the final match of the pre-show. That's it.
Yeah.
What's the final match of the pre-show?
We'll get there. Hold on. We're not gonna spoil.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah. So next one after that, we had Action Andretti with Darius Martin going up against the Workhorsemen, which are Anthony Henry and G-Day Drake, and tag team match. Action Andretti and Darius Martin won. Oh, by the way, Josh Woods won the first one. But again, I wasn't really too focused during that time. I was still getting stuff ready and everything, so I don't remember too much of that match.
We're not doing very good here, are we?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The pre-show. Now, the next one we had was legit Layla Hirsch versus Trisha Dora. I got to say that one
was good.
More attention to because Layla Hirsch is, she made her comeback, and Trisha Dora has been building up her stock. I like her look and, all the submission moves and stuff she does and everything. And I also like how tough Layla is considering the size difference and all that. But yeah, Layla still got her in a submission and everything. She still took her out, and she won the match. I kind of figured in this one because since it is Layla coming back, it's kind of her little comeback story. You know, she's kind of racking up the wins because she's back and everything. I kind of figured she wasn't going to lose this one, but that one was a good match. That one did kind of get my attention and stuff while I was, getting stuff ready and everything.
Yeah. I legitimately forgot about that match. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty good match. I do remember. I totally spaced on that match. So I was like, because I do love Trish Adora and I do like Layla Hirsch a lot. But I'm like, oh yeah, they did fight. Totally spaced. For some reason, I thought that would happen on a ring, like a regular Ring of Honor. But then I'm like, oh wait, no, the last one was Trish versus Utami. That's why I was like, oh yeah, that's right. No, it was now I remember. Yeah, I remember that was a pretty decent solid pre-show match. It was like a good
Adora always puts on a solid match and everything. I like how she's getting up there more and not so much like, she's out of jobber status. And one thing I remember, I didn't see it yet, but the latest episode of Ring of Honor, like I guess they didn't even announce who they're wrestling. It's just Athena's in action, which means jobber. Who's the other one? I forgot who's the third. Oh, Layla Hirsch is in action. I'm like, okay, taking out another job. But it was surprising when Trish Adora is in action. I'm like, hey, well, she's out of jobber status. And now she's taking down jobbers. Now she's getting up there. So,
Bad. I remember the match, but I don't remember much about the match. I can remember my feelings for the match. I just can't remember details right now. But I remember liking it. That's about it, really. From what I can, the little I do remember, I just remember them there, unfortunately.
So last one we have here is AR Fox going up against Shane Taylor. That one I remember a bit more because, AR Fox brings on the speed and the flippy shit, and Shane Taylor's just a big-ass motherfucker, And
he's
of course,
quick.
I'm pretty sure he did a spot or two where AR Fox tries to do a XYZ, but Shane Taylor actually catches him and fucking slams his ass and all that. But, interesting match. That was kind of a David versus Goliath type match. The speedy dude versus the big dude. You know what I mean?
And Shane is quick, too.
Wait, weren't there like some really, really crazy spots for that match where I was like, oh my God, why are they still moving type? Like, some spine should have been broken or something like that. I don't know why. In my mind, there were a few spots like that.
I think there was a couple where it was just like, ooh, like kind of like looked painful moves. But the thing is, both Shane Taylor and AR Fox are like, I think like 15 plus year veterans. So like they were like, let's put on a good show, kind of thing. So it was like, it was a good solid match between two guys who like are very underappreciated in their craft, and I'm glad they got at least somewhat of a. I would have rather the show be on the main show, that match being on the main show, but it was a good. I thought it was a great match, honestly, for like a pre-show. I thought it was a very well done match.
I do have a question for you since you mentioned that. So AR Fox with Shane, which match would you have switched out? Honestly, I think the Pac and Cesaro, whatever. I still call him Cesaro out of habit, and I keep trying not to say Neville.
I'll get more into that match when we get to it, but like there was so many problems with the Pac Claudio match, but maybe not that match because you have to have the title defended.
I know.
To be fair, honestly, I would have switched that match with the 6-man titles.
Oh
give them a couple extra like 7 minutes and then put the 6-man titles on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like switch it. Like that would have been a better match, better switch.
Okay. I like that.
So, I read. You had any thoughts on it, Johnny, or did you also kind of miss it because you were getting stuff ready?
Yeah, he didn't see the pre-show. I don't believe.
Well, I did watch the pre-show, but honestly, my memory is very foggy. I don't really remember much, to be honest. The only thing I remember is body of the pre-show feels a lot like a better episode of the Ring of Honor. What's it called? The Ring of Honor Fight Club or whatever that shit's called.
Honor Club.
Your episode of that, to be honest.
Now, what I want to say now is that AR Fox, I guess, went heel. So, the episode of Dynamite, I guess, what's his face? Darby promised his buddy AR Fox a match with Cassidy. So, Cassidy versus AR Fox, big match, blah, blah, blah. Cassidy still won by the skin of his teeth. AR Fox got all pissy and sucker punched him and shit and whatever.
Yeah.
Darby grabbed him to the side, like, yo, what the fuck you doing, man? You know, blah,
He's like,
blah,
no. And then he came back later.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So AR Fox didn't like that. Didn't like being yelled at. So whenever it was Darby's match, I forgot who he was going up against. Darby had a match.
Swerve.
Oh, yeah.
AR Fox came out of nowhere, grabbed Darby and slammed his face against the ring post or whatever, making him lose the match and all that kind of stuff. So now it's clear that that AR Fox went full heel. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. I'm happy that they're finally pushing AR Fox because he is very talented. And I'm like, it's weird because it feels like the Mogul Embassy or whatever they're called themselves, the Mogul Embassy, with Prince Nana and Swerve. Like, it seems like all the pieces are in place for them to be a top heel, but they never want to pull the trigger on it. You know, it's kind of like they're like biding their time. But unlike, say, like what's going on with the Bullet Club Gold, where like you could see they're starting to get bigger, like the Mogul Embassy just like stays here. And it's like
the Mogul Embassy, they should be more, because we got so many factions in AEW already. I feel they should be like trying to run things over at the Ring of Honor or something. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I thought. But then it's also weird because it's also like Swerve is never in Ring of Honor. AR Fox is sometimes in Ring of Honor, and the rest of the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage bounces around, so I'm cool. I know Wendy's fine with that. I am too. But I'm also like,
for different reasons, I hope.
For different reasons, I know. But I'm also like, I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just feel like, you know what I would have loved to have seen? I would have loved, this is me booking it, I would have loved to have seen a, not for the titles, but just kind of like for bragging rights, have the Embassy versus the House of Black. Like, who's the real trios champion? That would have been cool. Like, but not for the titles, mind you, just for like, oh, let's see who's really the true trios champions. It's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So let's see here. Hold on.
Time for the main show.
Yep, exactly. So first one we have Commander going up against Gravity. And it's the first time I've ever seen Gravity with the weird black mask thing.
Rush's youngest brother.
Who now?
Rush. You know Rush?
Yeah.
It's his youngest brother.
Oh wow.
He has two brothers. He has Rush is the oldest. Dragon Lee is his second, his younger brother, and then Gravity is his youngest brother.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, that one I don't remember too many details, but it was a pretty good match. Lots of the required flippy shit of the evening and stuff like that. And of course, Commander doing all the tightrope stuff for as many times as Gravity allowed him to do it and everything. But in the end, Gravity, he did end up winning the match. And he also had a decent match with Pac this past Dynamite too. It was pretty cool and impressive match. So Gravity is impressing the people. Let's hope we see more of them. Let's hope they pull the trigger on him. Sign him up and everything.
Yeah, I liked him too. I was like cheering. I was cheering for him a bit, but like I said, because of the type of wrestling that it is, because it's lucha style. Of course, I'm cringing at the same time. Like, oh my God, please don't break your neck. Just thinking like that because all the flipping and jumping is like, don't hurt yourself, please.
There's only a couple of lucha libres that I'm like deep into, like actually like, yeah. One of them is like for me, like the top guy is LV Kingo. I freaking love LV Kingo.
I like him.
Vikingo, it's because he's got this also, he's not just because he's the triple champion, triple A mega champion, but it's also he's just got this really cool charisma about him. Like he's really chill. Like he's like, yeah, I know who I am. And you're like, okay.
And I just want to say, and to anyone who is listening, do not say Vikingo. I hate it. It's Vikingo. Get it right.
It's Vikingo, yeah. It's El Hijo del Vikingo. And I also wanted to ask that, is that a Mexican thing where they just can't say certain words? Is that what it is?
What do you mean?
Right. Well, that's just how it's pronounced. You know, it's like, that's how you pronounce Vikingo, reading it with the Spanish, you know, whatever you call it.
Because I was like, obviously Vikingo is Viking, obviously.
Yeah.
And then like, come out, like, I wasn't really that noticing until he started saying Comandar. I'm like, you mean commander? It's like, no, it's Comandar. It's like, no, Commander. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember like, there's a guy, I think he's in Mexico, and his name is.
And basically, and that's why Rouge is pronounced Rouge, because if you read.
No.
Rush,
I didn't notice it until I thought about it, and I was like, I never really thought about that. It was just like how there's a guy his name is spelled. There's a guy whose name is spelled Psycho Kid, but they say Psycho Kid, like Psycho Kid. I'm like, okay, like all right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you just give a random Mexican dude without any context or anything whatsoever, you give them the word Rush and say, read this out loud, will you? They'll say Roosh, because that's how we would pronounce it. You know,
just have a Wisconsin mom name them.
Yeah,
it's Rush, and he's gonna fight Commander.
Yeah,
like a Wisconsin mom
of like the whole trunk and trunsu kind of thing.
Yeah. I get it. It's a dialect thing. I get it. I do also laugh because I love Kevin Kelly. On a side note, I love Kevin Kelly to death. He is terrible at pronouncing Spanish names because it's specifically Spanish. He's great at Japanese because, Japan, but Spanish, for some reason, his Canadian mouth cannot pronounce Spanish names. So like there's a wrestler named El Desperado, and was a lucha libre from Japan. His finishing move is the pinche loco. But every time he does it, he goes, the pinche loco. Like, it's pinche. Like, and then he cannot say, you guys have all noticed in Collision, he can't say Andrade El Idolo. He says El Idolo. He can't say it. El Idolo. I'm like, no, it's Idolo. I know, but it's like, I literally say, I love you, Kevin, and I'm just going to chalk it up to the fact that you're Canadian. That's all I'm going to say.
Mark, I was going to say, the host of the Seco or Seco, right?
Yeah.
So remember the anime dubbed in Spanish, guys will say, Seco Cruiser. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I thought this was a good solid match. It had a lot of it felt like just a fun match. Like a lot of lucha libre can either be, oh God, or it could be like, oh, that was fun. Like lucha libre seems more like, if you got two guys who are really flippy, you could play the whole match and just add like the spring sound effect from Sonic and it would fit perfectly. You know? You know it. And I know it. Bang, 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 bang. Like, I'm like, yeah. It would probably, you know what I mean? And it was just fun. It made me laugh. I was like, oh, this is great. The gravity was great. Comandar was great. I loved it. I thought it was just a great way to start the show.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the springboard, because it just reminded me of something I'm going to talk about later when we get to that other match, because it just reminded me of something there. It's not really relevant, but there was flippy stuff. So it's reminded me of stuff from there. So, hey, Johnny, what did you think of this match?
What I thought about this match, I don't remember too much about it, but I do like I think gravity. I like this gimmick. I mean, come on, like you have a dude dressed up like an astronaut fighting each other. you know, it's pretty awesome. I like this. I like Gravity. You know, like
Oh, I like the weird like slow motion thing he does because gravity.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, he's like the slow-mo thing.
Of course, in my mind, I'm thinking someone should come up and just say, "Move it," you know.
It's just like the Jay White thing that happened in the Battle Royal where Mark Commander was like on the tightrope and there was like, oh, and Jay just went. I was like, thank you. Like sometimes I love when they like over enunciate things, and I want the people. That's one of the reasons I absolutely love Samoa Joe, because he has the ultimate defense to any high flyer ever. He just sidesteps and he does the nope. He's just like, I'm like, it's the perfect defense. It literally, you just go, it's the Looney Tune defense. It's the perfect defense.
Yep, I like slapstick. Sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, it was, you know, I already said it was a pretty awesome match. A lot of good flippy shit because, you know, what can you expect from Lucha Libre? And I just love Gravity. I just love seeing an astronaut fighting in the middle of the ring, you know?
Hmm.
Also, did anyone else pick up on the jokes that they've been doing? They were building up to for Dynamite for that match.
Thing.
So if you remember back in WWE, Neville, his nickname was the man Gravity forgot.
Oh yeah.
And literally he kept making the joke. He's all like, and Gravity didn't forget about Pac. And I'm like, God damn it. God damn it. I'm like, you fucking like, and it's all like, but Gravity's gonna give him a match that he's never gonna forget. I'm like, God damn it.
I just did that. Yeah. We'll always remember that one time that Pac almost forgot his opponent. All right, guys. So now we got Samoa Joe defending the Ring of Honor World TV Championship against Dalton Castle with the boys, you know. And yeah, what can I say? It's a pretty good match. I always like Dalton Castle's gimmick and stuff like that. The boys were kind of having a lot of fun because they kept banning him and everything. But like, oh yeah, there was like this whole thing where every time Samoa Joe kept trying to throw or knock Dalton Castle out of the ring, the boys would always catch him, fan him up, and put him right back in. And it would be like 2 or 3 times during the match. And it was just funny. And I think one time Samoa himself fell out of the ring and the boys actually helped him up and put him back in, which is kind of weird, you know. But yeah, it's a pretty fun match. I really didn't think that Dalton Castle was going to take down Samoa because, of course, Samoa's like that. You know, he's a more serious type dude, similar to like what Jack said about sidestepping the flippy shit guys. It's like, you have your gimmicks and your stuff, but all the gimmicks and stuff ends here because Joe ain't playing that shit. You know what I mean? But in the end, Joe got Dalton in a submission move, and you know he tapped out, or I believe he passed out. Yeah, he passed out, and yeah, so Samoa Joe retains his title. But that is the part I remember the most. I remember the most about him knocking Dalton Castle out of the ring several times, and the boys always catch him and always put him right back in. And that was kind of funny. And I liked how Samoa was just losing more and more of his patience every time they kept doing that, you know?
Plus, there's this whole side story with like him and Stokely Hathaway, like who's like, I guess the new manager of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, because Stokely was like, he has some kind of backstage control.
He's like part manager with him and Jerry Lynn of Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
and like he's scared of Joe. He's scared of Joe.
We're like, the fuck?
Yeah, so he got him to get the boys kicked out, and then he was also yelling at the ref. And while he was doing that, Joe low blowed him and then got him in the chokehold. So really, I mean, it was mostly Stokely, but anyway. The match itself, I really love, and I love that the fans are finally getting into Dalton Castle because his character is amazing. And he's one of the few wrestlers who's been never really given their due for what he's done for the industry. It's kind of like now in hindsight, looking back at Jay Briscoe. What's so funny is the concept of the boys actually came out from Dalton Castle literally years ago because he's been doing this for like 7, 8. He's been doing this for about 10 years now. And a couple of the names who were former boys ended up becoming top champions. So you have Alpha Flight, used to be it, Private Party. The most famous are the very first boys, the Young Bucks. Yeah. And Jay White at one point was even one of the boys. But
I just like him coming in and to the camera. Okay, boys, let's win some titles.
He's always
Let's
talking
win
to
some
the
hearts.
camera. He's always talking to the camera. He's one of the funniest. He's like legitimately like genuinely hilarious on the. I follow him on Instagram and he's like that all the time too. Like he did this one video on his Instagram where he's like, no, I'm not normally one to film in a bathroom, but I just want to see you show off this amazing bathroom. He was at a restaurant in like, I think Louisiana. He's like, no, I just want to show off this bathroom. Look, see, it's got all the amenities you need. You got this really nice mirror. You got this sink, and then he pans to the bathroom. You got your basic standard lawnmower, and there's literally a lawnmower in the middle of the bathroom. It's like you got your basic standard lawnmower. You got your soap dispenser. Like, is there like lawnmower? But he just plays everything dead serious.
Because, sometimes you want to, trim the boys down under while you're in the bathroom,
Damn. No, anyway. Anyway. But like he always posts, like he's always been that guy, and he doesn't give the she's got the fans. I was like, oh yeah. Also, one of the things, he's also like a legitimately good wrestler. He won his Ring of Honor World Championship in a fatal 4-way with Jay Lethal and Adam Cole, I believe, was in the match. But he did it before the match. He had broken his tailbone, and he retained that belt with a broken tailbone. He retained that belt like 3 defenses on. So he carried it for like 6 months with a broken tailbone. And like that's why he has that, his gear is like up to his waist. It's to protect his spine. But like I said, like he gives a lot to the ring, and he's also just genuinely entertaining. So like it's great to see him, and he's all like
intro with the wings.
Yeah. And like I remember when like he was first coming like popular, and they were like, I think the question everyone wants to know is, are you gay? And then he's all like, I think the real question you want to ask is, am I your type? And the answer is obviously no. Like, boom.
I like him. I really like Dalton
He's
Castle.
so fucking funny. He just gets in the camera and he's all like, I remember like one time he got in the camera and he's all like, I'm gonna hold this camera shot for at least a good a couple minutes so you can grab your chips and before the ring starts. You enjoying the match so far? Everything's great. Yeah. And then he goes around the ring. He actually said that. And I was like, I love you, Dalton. I absolutely love you. But no, it was a great match. And it was cool to see Dalton in the ring with Joe. Obviously, I knew Joe was going to win. Although I'm also wondering what they're going to do with Joe, because like it seems like they're promoting him to be on Collision too, but he's like barely on Collision, and yet I don't know, like it seems like we
need Joe versus Miro.
Yeah, that's the match we really want to see. But I also know he's been kind of hesitant to be on TV because they just finished up and it's on Peacock now, not to promote them, but that Twisted Metal show. He plays what's his name? Sweet Tooth. Yeah, that's Joe.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's Joe behind the mask doing the voice and in the character.
Yeah, let me
like, dude, I really enjoyed this match. I was looking forward to this match. Any match with Dalton Castle, I want to see it, even if he loses. But I was like, no, don't throw the boys out. They were even helping out Joe. Why did they throw out the boys? Someone needs to fan them down when it's all extra hard for running around the ring. Come on now, guys. Get it together. We need those boys. I want you to have a couple of boys that do stuff for me. Go to my bathroom. Go scrub my floor. Go sweep up in there. Go vacuum for me. It's part of your training.
Oh God. Any thoughts there, Johnny?
Oh, but wait, before Johnny goes, but I will say this before, like I said, I was expecting the same thing. I was expecting him to lose, but the question was, I was wondering how he was going to lose.
Okay, so for this match, I like the match, and I'm getting the impression that Dalton Castle, despite all the gimmicks and the boys, he's actually a very, very good wrestler. If you don't know, yeah, he's very, very good. He's very technical. He's really, down to business, and I like how he can combine his, I don't know, like the pop culture aspect of him, like his gimmick, but at the same time, he can still kick ass in the ring. I like how he's able to combine those two things, because there's wrestlers that are just, I don't know, like funny wrestlers, and that's it. They're not really that good in the ring, but Dalton Castle actually is very good. And it was disappointing, right? They did kick out the boys in the ring. Like, come on, how, why? No, freaking referee.
Did you? Has anyone else ever caught on where the name of his finisher came from?
No.
The name of his finisher is called the Bangarang. It's from the movie Hook.
No.
Remember they used to go Bangarang?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Oh.
But one last thing I was gonna say, and I don't know why I was just laughing. It had the visual of I just had the visual of Luke of Cool Hand Luke and Daddy Magic coming to Ring of Honor, and then starting a feud with Dalton Castle and the boys, and then Daddy Magic just getting on the mic and saying, "You know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard?" And then Dalton's music goes, "Boys!" Like, I'm like, the timing would be like, yes, thank you.
A certain, I do know this much. I am pretty certain that a certain personality that's been in the wrestling industry for many years would hate what you just pitched with a passion, and he would probably have a conniption along with an aneurysm.
I remember someone asked him, it's funny, someone asked him about what he thought about Jim Cornette, Dalton. I remember years ago they asked him, and he said, I think he needs to worry more about what the 7-Up he drinks is going to do to his digestion over years than wrestling. I'm like, he's not wrong.
Oh, and part of the match, my cousin noticed it, but yeah, Samoa Joe, the boys imprinted on Joe. They had some of the feathers on him from the fan on his arm. He got stuck to him. But, Samoa Joe, he just walks to the ring and he's sweating. So,
All right. So next match we got here is a big 4-way tag team match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Titles. And it's Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis going up against the Lucha Bros, Cero Miedo, with Penta, Cero Miedo, and Rey Fenix. The Kingdom, which is Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, with Maria Kanellis Bennett just, loitering, whatever. And I feel so bad for these guys. The Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. I just feel bad for them in the sense that they're always like they always feel like an afterthought. They always feel like they're just there. I mean, props for Tony to keep them employed and all that stuff, but it always feels like this badass tag team, the current champs, and the Best Friends are there too. Like, we need 2 more guys. Make it a 4-way. What are the Best Friends doing? I don't know. But, a decent match. It was one of those crazy, confusing ones. I got to give credit, though. There were some times where it almost looked like the Best Friends were going to win. I was kind of like, hey, I wouldn't mind, finding their time to, to shine and all that. But no, you know what I mean? The Aussie Open actually won the titles. And to tell you the truth, I forgot I know they were at the champs at the start. I forgot who were the champs going in. I know it was
Lucha Bros.
Oh man, my boys. They beat the compas. But other than that, kind of cool to see the Aussie Open get up there. But yeah.
I'm so happy that the Aussie Open reunited because they've they haven't wrestled in several months because Mark Davis had to have ACL reconstructive surgery. They won the IWGP and New Japan Strong Championships. They became the first to ever hold both at the same time. And then they had to give them up at the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach. And it was like the most heartbreaking thing because it was right before Dominion and they were building it up. And now the titles are separated and New Japan Strong tag titles are owned by the Bullet Club War Dogs. What's going on? Oh. Okay.
No, just showing off while you guys are talking.
Oh, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, the New Japan Strong Tag Team titles are owned by the Bullet Club War Dogs, and Bishamon are the IWGP Tag Titles champions again. So I was happy they came back strong. They came back now. They went right back to where they were as tag champs, and it's only a matter of time because they've been building for a long time. There have been 3 tag champs before all this happened, where it was supposed to originally be a series of matches that were going to be building to, FTR versus the Briscoes. And then the Briscoes were going to fight Aussie Open. And then finally Aussie Open were going to fight FTR. And it was going to be a whole, because they literally said they were trying to build it like how they did the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, like this kind of series of tag team wrestling to encompass new wrestling. And, of course, the Briscoes are no longer together for obvious reasons. And so now I'm like, okay, cool. They could still build this story of FTR versus Aussie Open again. They could start up again because that's what they were building up. The Aussie Open for the United Empire and all them, building up wins and wins and wins. And then Aussie Open actually becoming belt collectors just like FTR were. And just like eventually seeing who's the true best tag team on the planet between FTR and Aussie Open. And I'm just waiting and like this confirmed, yes, the plans are still in motion. So I'm like, yeah, Aussie Open won it. I would have rather they won it in a straight up tag team match, but I know Aussie Open will probably be like, you know what? Knowing Aussie Open, they'll probably be like, hey, Lucha Bros, we could beat you legitimately. Let's fight. They'll be like, okay. So I just have a feeling that's probably what Aussie Open will probably do. But it's also cool because I think soon around the corner, I think they're going to be doing the World Tag League. And if that's the case, they're going to be doing the World Tag League as the Ring of Honor champion. So that's going to bring more eyes to Ring of Honor. So who knows? I mean, that's the direction I feel like they're going. I could be wrong, but honestly, I like this match a lot. And I don't know why the hell the Best Friends are still on TV. It's not even the fact that they're employed, because even what's his name? What the hell's his name? Oh, I just forgot his name. He was part of SCU.
The one that hasn't been there forever.
Oh, Kazarian?
Kazarian. No, not Kazarian. He's in Impact. The other one.
Scorpio Sky.
No, the other one.
Christopher Daniels.
Daniels. So it's just like Christopher Daniels, and I think of Best Friends like Christopher Daniels or like Dustin Rhodes, in the sense of they're just there as development talent, and they're like they're as you put it, as I put it, they're seat fillers. They're seat filler wrestlers. They're like, yeah, we need a veteran, get in there. I'm like, okay.
All right, man. This whole thing just threw me because it just threw me because there was just too much going on for my brain. It was just too much. Someone flipping over there, someone doing this, someone doing that. I don't know who's legal. The referee don't know who's legal. The people in the ring don't know who's legal. I mean, it was just crazy. I couldn't take it. I mean, it was fun to see all the moves, but still, it was crazy. And there was one thing that threw me. I don't remember who did it. Okay. Now, please remind me. Usually one of the things you are never supposed to do in a match at all is you're not supposed to attack the referee purposely or touch the referee purposely or any of that stuff. If it was an accident, okay. or is made to look like one. But if you're touching the ref, pulling the ref, pushing the ref, any of that nonsense, usually that gets you disqualified, right? Right?
Depending on the story, I guess.
No. I don't want no depending on the story. You guys are born.
I think it really just goes by ref because, like, I think it kind of just depends on the ref. Like, I'm trying to remember which spot you're referring to. I can't remember.
What, I forget who did it, but he got dragged out of the ring by one of them, and he was like trying to point out something. I don't even know what's going on. There was too much other crap going on. I was like, hold up, we did it.
No, that technically, yes. Normally that wouldn't be a disqualification because, like, they didn't harm the ref intentionally. They just kind of pulled him. I know it's fishy. It's extremely fishy, like a fish market, and I get it. But, like, hell, like, even good example, like in New Japan, one of the things Evil does is for some reason, like, he'll set up the ref and constantly drag the ref around, like, not drag him, but he'll get his opponent and he'll set up the opponent and use the ref to help him do the magic killer. Which you're like, the fuck? How is that fucking legal? Like, he literally put the opponent on his shoulders and went, wow. And then it's like, okay, I guess. All right. Like, but I still think the worst I've ever seen was my biggest thing is, like, when refs actively, like, touch wrestlers, you know, like, that's the shit that drives me nuts. Like like Aubrey does that sometimes. It kind of irritates me a little bit.
But you know how it is. You got them big, muscly, sweaty mans in them underwear, you know, all glistening.
The only time,
like the referees just can't keep their hands off them. You know what I mean?
The only times I love when I actually do like when referees are like do get involved is like if like a person's reaching out and like using the ropes is cheating. He's like, break off the ropes, and then they kick the hand and they go like that. Like, that's, other than that. Yeah, I know. I agree. Normally, yes, that would be that would be technically a disqualification, I think. But remember, fatal four-way, anything goes.
That's
you
what
know, it reminds me of a Mexican joke where a referee, quote unquote, accidentally walked into the women's locker room when they're changing. They all got mad. They call them all kinds of stuff, and the ref said, "Wait, ladies, calm down. Remember, y'all said a couple hours ago that the ref was blind. It's okay."
Yeah. I can't see shit. Anyway.
I remember I sent to Mark of Blurred Lines, that Blurred Lines parody, and that was one of the jokes in there. One of the jokes for that, you know, you pretend you're blind when the cops come after you. But anyway, we're not going back to that dated reference. But
So, Johnny, what did you think of the match?
Because for me, it was just too much going on. I didn't even realize that the Lucha Bros, I mean, I saw that they lost, but I was saying, wait, so was the Aussie team, were they actually legal? Because as far as I know, I just don't know too much.
They were the legal. They were legal. Yeah.
Well, one thing I do agree with Wendy is that, I think there was too much going on in the match. I mean, it's still a good match. Yeah. And I'm noticing a lot more lately in AEW. There seems to be more incidents where referees are really getting like more like physically injured or even like knocked down or pulled away. I mean, honestly, I don't know what's that about. I don't know how there's no disqualifications happening in those matches when shit like that happens. Or why don't they placement referee like more like ASAP, because you know shit just started to happen like that. Like, I don't know why that the response time is too slow when that shit happens, and I don't know how they keep getting away with that. Okay, putting that to the side, the match was so very good. There's still a lot of good flippy shit. In my opinion, I think there was just way too many wrestlers, too many teams versus this person versus that person, that person. I think they should have just kept it a little bit more condensed.
Mm-hmm.
But I am glad that the Aussie Open did win the match, because honestly, I wasn't really too into the Aussie Open, but you know, thanks to watching the Ring of Honor, what's it called, the Fight Club or whatever that shit's called.
Honor Club.
What?
Respect for honor.
Honor Club.
Okay, Fight Club. I was calling it Fight Club.
It's okay.
We're having a Fight Club stays there.
It's fine. It's fine. Go on. Go on with what you're saying.
So I guess we can say that Johnny has no respect for honor, huh? No, fight without honor, huh?
Fight without honor. Yeah.
Fights with honor.
Program, I do notice that the Aussie Open is a very good tag team. They're very good tag team. They're very good talented wrestlers. And because Mark Davis got injured for quite a while, Kyle Fletcher actually showed the world how good of a wrestler he is. So I actually think being him, for better or worse, because you still got to make the most out of it in that kind of situation. But I think that actually pushed him further. So that made him better as a wrestler. So now when they're both together again, it's just like the team just really shines, and it's just really like they're really giving that pretty much like the 110%. So I'm actually glad he actually won the match. And in terms of this might be my unpopular opinion, but I actually feel like the Kingdom, especially for this match, I feel like it's a little it's just, did they even need to be there in the match, to be honest?
I would have rather, to be honest, I would have rather Best Friends just weren't in that match. I think if it was just like a 3-team, it would have worked better. Because I think with the Kingdom, it was more of like, oh, they're bringing them being there were more of like, oh, putting, because you got to think of it this way, like the Kingdom are one of the last few tag teams that are like pure Ring of Honor, like they're from Ring of Honor going in. And then like the Lucha Bros are established as AEW guys, and Aussie Open are established as New Japan guys. But then you also have Best Friends who are also AEW guys. So it's like, why the fuck are you here? Like, I'm like, so literally if you just took out Best Friends, it would have worked better, I think. But yeah, no, I do agree with what you said. But the Kingdom were there mostly, I think, because they've been racking up wins. And Aussie Open, I think it was more of a matter of like, they had a win over Lucha Bros prior to them winning the titles or something like that. I can't remember, something like that. There was no build up to the match.
Correction, I think more than the Kingdom, which I do think they are overdoing a little bit the Kingdom, but like you just said, the backstory, the history that they're, the Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
So it makes sense for them to appear a lot in their programming, but I think the best those were like the extra people. I even forgot they were there in the match. Like they're just there.
I forgot there were 4 teams there till y'all mentioned it. I know that's messed up, but I really agree with Johnny. It really should have been more condensed. And like I said, I had problems with those kind of matches. I mean, if it was like just a 4-way, like a single fatal 4-way, I can follow that. But when they're tag teams, I have the most difficult time, and so does the camera work too, because there's so much going on. The cameras can't keep up with everything. So I think just those kind of matches for me personally just do not work.
I personally hate multi-man matches on a personal level. Like anything more than 3 people, you're just running the risk of like you're guaranteed to miss stuff.
Yeah.
Especially on TV. And it's like, because you're going to, how many times have, Mark, how many times have like you and I watched like wrestling shows where like it'll cut to nothing happening outside and then the person will do the finisher in the ring and you're like, the fuck? And then they have to, after the match, they ring the bell. Then they replay the thing that you were supposed to have seen. And you're like, dude.
I think
they pan back to someone and they're all beat up on the ring, and you're like, "The fuck happened? What?"
Yeah, and then you hear the ding, ding, ding. You're like, "What happened?"
Mark just said
that one thing they had, the one that was like, I think the last stadium stampede was horrible with that. Horrible.
Oh yeah, and Blood and Guts was awful. Like I could barely pay attention.
I was about to bring that up. But yeah, and also when Mark just said, I was saying like it was worse than that, like you guys were saying. Like something could have happened, and no, I think what's worse is something happened, and they didn't, like you didn't see it on camera, and they go back to whatever just happened. You see the aftermath of it, but they don't replay it. Which pay-per-view was it? Like there was so much crap going on, and they did not.
Stadium Stampede that was like all falls everywhere.
Yeah.
Outside.
Also, yeah, they did that for the recent Blood and Guts, because if you looked at the Blood and Guts match, what happened was frickin' Wheeler Yuta was being choked out. And then it cut to, I think, who was in the ring? It was like, I think Kenny or Coda or someone. And then it went ding, ding, ding. And what it didn't cut to was the reason the match ended was because Moxley said, I quit. We quit. And then it said, but he didn't tap out. And he literally goes, you see him mouth the words, I didn't tap, but he quit. But we didn't ever get to see him say the words, I quit.
See, I was confused by that ending too. And I just figured it's because they choked Yuta out. And I was like...
That's what I thought so too. And then it's like, no, it's because... And then you hear Excalibur say, Moxley tapped out to save you. Moxley quit to save Yuta. And I'm like, what? When? The fuck?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. I know exactly what you're saying, Johnny.
No, I don't want to like, because again, whatever. But I mean, there's just some things that we can't ignore. The WWE, for all its faults, has ever had that bad camera work? I don't remember.
No, I think the only times they ever do that are like multi-person cage matches, but they rarely ever did those. Even the NXT ones, the War Games ones, were better condensed because they had a guy in two sides of the ring, then they had an overhead camera, and then they had another guy outside the ring. That was it. I'm like, that's all you need. But instead, in AEW, what they have is they have one guy putting his camera through one of the fences, and then the other guy putting one from the other side in the fences, and then another guy on the rampway. You're like, the rampway? Why the fuck are you on the rampway?
So a certain someone can go out the ring and get knocked down. And anyway, where are we going?
Anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to the whole thing.
Let's stop complaining.
So overall, we can all agree it was a decent match, but it was a cluster of a match. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole thing is that Aussie Open are the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champs. And everything.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.